sometimes we can't tell if it's God's voice or overthinking. We can't make decisions because we can't tell if it's our selfish thoughts or if it's the devil or if it's God. When we think about our selfish thoughts, we think about comfort. We think about we deserve this. It's okay if we do this one time. We think about the enemy. The enemy tells us lies. The enemy tells us that God doesn't care about us. But we think about God though, God's voice is very peaceful. God's voice is very biblical. So we know anything that comes from the Bible, it says this, it's probably gonna come from God. But the thing is, we have to understand God's voice. And sometimes the noise of the world is so around us that's so loud. And also, we have to be able to recognize God's voice. If you ever have a best friend, right, you know him or her voice. You know them if they yell your name 100 miles away. So if they're like, hey, John, you're like, oh, that's Ray. But the thing is, it's the same thing with God. If you don't ever recognize God's voice and you don't ever recognize God's heart, how can you ever understand them? Because I bet you understand your best friend. I bet you understand their voice from a mile away. But if you're so in tune to the world instead of God's voice, you're not spending any time with him, how are you going to ever understand his heart? How are you going to ever recognize what he's trying to tell you to do if you don't know who he is? John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I'm going to say it again. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. The more we recognize God's voice, the more we're going to understand his heart. So we have to turn down the noise of the world and turn up God's voice.